growing up, I wasn't particularly interested in religion at all. And, but I actually was interested in social justice. When I was an undergrad, I was heavily involved in the anti-war movement. At the point, I was involved in animal rights, more to the point I say because it sort of hit home in ways that would, I think, sort of shape my religious inclinations. And at some point in that year, I think I read On the Road by Jack Kerouac or something. And I just had this awareness that in the animal rights community there was a lot of anger for the work, but there was this sort of internal thing that didn't seem particularly useful. Forget to anyone else, but like more to myself. And somehow I ended up curious about that. And I started studying with a professor who was a Tibetan Buddhist, a very unique Tibetan Buddhist. She was a part of the Panthers. She was a part of serious organizing around the Black Power movement in Cornell University, and had a choice at some point in her life between going to LA and being Huey Newton's secretary, or going to India and studying with this really potent Tibetan Lama. Both of them challenging in their own right. And she ended up going back to India, and she said that decision saved her life, because Huey was assassinated not too long after. I tell you all this just because that sort of was one of my early mentors, and that mirrored my understanding of my path. Walking myself, going to India 40, 30 years after she did, I had a similar sort of choice that I felt like I had to make. I could either spend my life trying to sort of do things outside of me without dealing with what was inside of me, or I could, look inside, and I have chosen to look inside. For me, for whatever the reasons, the path has been about exploring how I can be more authentic, more direct, more honest, more clear, more patient, less angry. And so the social justice work for me it sounds sort of maybe selfish, but it's been about unfolding ways in which I can be sort of like present in my life. So I'm actually not particularly involved in any movement, less my own movements, and actually that's where I found the most potent translation of my engagement studying Tibetan Buddhism is how healing can come very tangibly and sometimes necessarily through working with the body. And acknowledging what traumatized bodies are and how we work with traumatized bodies, both ourselves and others. And figuring out how healing and working this way, it doesn't have to be about right and wrong out there, in there, but having an experience where people can be together, whatever's going on, without top-down, me-you dynamics, and have a space where we can authentically sort of be together and heal, not just psychologically or emotionally, but like very physically. If I have anything to share with you from my tradition of Tibetan Buddhism, it would be how do we figure out in our own unique personal ways to sit in that space, to share that room, where it's you, me, together in a place that's safe, comfortable, open, and mutually enlivening and inspiring, where we can have honest conversations that can feed whatever work you're going to do, or whatever movement you're a part of, because it's needed, and more fire on fire doesn't really do anything, even if it's righteous.